connection, history, reflection, and taking the time in 2013, when I was working as a grief and loss training facilitator and counsellor. I had been invited to present a series of grief and loss education sessions to the Rabbinical Council of Victoria. Needless to say, I was incredibly nervous and unsure as to how both I and the material I was going to cover would be received by this group of rabbis and Rebbetzins. I was going to be challenging this group to contemplate offering grief and loss support across a wide range of issues and to a very broad population. I stood in front of this esteemed group in the first session, and within minutes, I realised that I had an ally in the room. A super intelligent man with a quick mind, a deep I remember going home after that first session and raving to my sister about this cool new Rabbi Daniel and my first impressions of him. I was so impressed with his perspectives on community, Judaism, ethics, and his moral compass. Without skipping a beat, her response was, "I can't believe you haven't met him before. He's been heavily involved with CHC for years, and he is an absolute mensch." How lucky are all of us now to have this very special man as the rabbi of our congregation. You know the saying that behind every great man is an even greater woman. This is certainly the case with Rebbetzin Sarah. Rebbetzin Sarah brings with her a passion to involve and connect women in all facets of Jewish life. She is approachable, energetic, and will be such an incredible asset to our congregation. This is a new phase for the Caulfield Hebrew congregation, a time to all come together to celebrate the inauguration of the Rabbi and the Rebbetzin, and all that the next chapter will bring to our community. As we embark on this new chapter, it is only fitting to say the blessing of Shechianu. Please welcome Cousin Dot Farkas and the Hebrew Choir to sing Shechianu. Thank you. I would like to now welcome Rabbi Rebbetzin, father of Rebbetzin from San Francisco, California, where he and Rebbetzin run a school for Russian Jews in the Bay Area. Rabbi Pill will say a few words.
My wife, Rebbetzin Pill, and I, we are very excited to be here today. My name is Rabbi Rebbetzin, father of Rebbetzin Sarah, father-in-law of Rabbi Daniel. I was born in the former Soviet Union, where practicing religion was a criminal act and a very dangerous way of life. As a young child, I learned that to save another person, you must sometimes be willing to put yourself in danger. In addition, we knew to always be there for those in need. Rebbetzin Sarah was inspired by these teachings during her formative years as she was taught the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael, to love another as yourself. At our shul in San Francisco, Sarah would immediately welcome new and familiar faces, connect them, and take care of them as they were part of our family. During her life and the role she has held, Sarah has continued to implement this. People are her passion, and she wants to make them feel at home. I'm very proud of everything she has accomplished, and I know Sarah will continue to be a role model for this community. I thought it was very special when I saw that the street right by the Kofel Shul is named Princess Street. In Hebrew, Sarah means a princess. So today, artists had great vision to know that we're naming the street after the Sarah. Rabbi Daniel and Sarah are an amazing couple, a great team, and they are thrilled to join this community. I pray that theirs and your long, fruitful future together will be filled with many simchas and good events.
I would now like to welcome Dr. Howard Zeimer, current and previous president of Caulfield Hebrew Congregation and Life Governor.
Before the Rabbi Rebbetzin, the Honourable Member for Caulfield, Mr. David Southwick, members and guests. It is a great honour to be able to address members and guests today and represent the board of Caulfield Hebrew Congregation. I welcome everyone to this most joyous occasion of the inauguration of Rabbi Rabin, especially to all our members. The board and I thank you for your continued support of Caulfield Shul throughout the last 2 grim years. Today is the culmination of your support as we, on this auspicious occasion, officially induct Rabbi Rabin as the fourth senior rabbi and spiritual leader of Caulfield Hebrew Congregation, Kehillah Havat Shalom. Rabbi Rabin follows our first rabbi, Rabbi Shalom Goodnick, Rabbi Yonason Abraham, and Rabbi Ralph Genendi. I pay tribute to the heritage of this synagogue. It is now over 75 years since the founders of this Kehillah purchased land in Inkerman Road to build a centre for the fledgling Caulfield Jewish community. The founders were predominantly refugees who escaped prior to the Holocaust and were later joined by the survivors of the war. Australia provided the sanctuary and freedom of religion that allowed the community to grow and flourish. Many of those founders' children and grandchildren are here today. Caulfield Hebrew Congregation has appointed a dynamic rabbinical couple that are well-prepared spiritual leadership team who, despite their young age, have vast experience starting out in South Africa, San Francisco, and then in Australia. In Australia, initially the Rabbi Rebbetzin Rabin worked on university campuses in Melbourne in outreach connecting with university students. Subsequently, Rabbi Rabin was appointed as Rabbi at Northeastern Jewish Centre, helping to build up and engage with the local Jewish community for 7 years. And then, in later years, for 3 years, as spiritual leader of South Caulfield Shul. Their popularity in the Melbourne Jewish community is testament to the success in reaching out to members and community at their respective synagogues. Rabbi Rabin, apart from your friendly disposition, you have already, in a short period of time at Caulfield Hebrew Congregation, demonstrated your erudition, kindness, and compassion in helping create a community and engage with members. You have already initiated 3 learning sessions on Shabbat. You are continually ringing members, visiting members at home, and are celebrating the Simchas. Together with Rebbetzin and Sarah, many new functions have commenced, including Friday night Kiddushas, Friday night Kugel nights, Friday night dinners, children's programs on Shabbat, and the recent popular Hanukkah functions, and also the revamped Mums and Bubs program. Rebbetzin and Sarah, you have brought your charm and passion and elegance to our community with your presence at all Shabbat services, welcoming members and brides and groups to be at your home, entertaining guests at home, meeting with women in our congregation, and initiating and organising functions. What a difference women have noted as you have personally greeted every Shabbat by you. Together, Rabbi Rebbetzin Rabin will lead our community, and the board are confident that they will engage with membership from the young to the elderly and succeed in connecting members to our community and to Judaism. Their wealth of experience will, and with their skill sets, project Caulfield Hebrew Congregation forward and reinvigorate our members who currently may be drifting from their connection to Judaism. It has been a difficult period in Melbourne after 2 years of COVID with prolonged lockdowns that have worn out a lot of our population and our members. Attending shul and functions is more difficult, with more reluctance by the community to participate. However, many more ideas and programs are to be generated by our rabbinical couple, the board, and our Chief Executive Officer. These will be rolled out in the future, adding to our congregation's commitment to deliver a variety of services that attract members back to participate in our congregation. On behalf of the board and members of Caulfield Hebrew Congregation, I wish Rabbi and Rebbetzin Rabin lots of success, Hatzlacha Rabbah, and good health as the Rabbi and Rebbetzin of Caulfield Hebrew Congregation. I also extend best wishes to your children, Aaron, Shana, and Aaron. I and many others look forward to a close and enjoyable relationship for many years to come. Before I conclude, I would like to thank Rachel Mihalovich and the engagement team in organising this great event today. To Karen Lopsky, thank you for chairing today's ceremony. And finally, many thanks to Hazendorf, Farkas, Aaron Max, and the choir for their involvement in today's ceremony. May Rabbi and Rebbetzin enjoy great success at our shul, leading to strength devotion community embodies the very nature of Dubla issue, and Victoria is all the better for it. Caulfield Healing Congregation has been a spiritual and physical landmark for its congregation and community for nearly 80 years, and I'm sure that under his leadership, the congregation will build on all the work that has come before to ensure Victoria is always home to a
We will now recite a number of psalms from the book of Tehillim. Tehillim expresses sentiments we all share and seek to express at some point in our lives. We recite them today with joy, optimism and gratitude for this momentous occasion in Caulfield Shul history. I would like to welcome Rabbi Motok Kaziansky, Rabbi of Or Hadash, Rabbi Gedalia Levin, Caulfield Shul Bar Korech, and the lovely daughter of the Rabins, Shana Rabin.
I just want to take this opportunity to wish a personal mazel tov to Rabbi Neil. It's a wonderful occasion. I believe that we are now the envy of all the synagogues in Melbourne. To have such a young, dynamic, passionate, convivial, effervescent, warm and engaging couple to lead our community is something that we have been waiting for many years. So we want to thank both of them, bless both of them for many, many more years that they should lead us. And just the fact the numbers are here today is a living testament to the mark that they already have left in such a short space of time. So mazel tov to both of you. Mazel tov to our shul. We're the lucky ones. The 3 chapters of Tehillim we're going to say are actually very appropriate to today's occasion, giving thanks offering for this special occasion. Yusha Adam Besida, Chatzin Reisa Bishila, Hay Loi, Gof Mishmai, Kitayim Adonai El Chazdai, Vadar and Nasai.
The next psalm that we're going to recite is chapter 122 of Tehillim, and it opens with a beautiful verse which says, Samachti b'omrim li beis Hashem nelech. I rejoiced when they said to me, Samachti, we'll be happy and enjoy each other's company. Shir Amalos David, Samachti b'omrim li beis Adonai nelech. Under Soyradenu Bishorayich Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim Habenuya, Ki Yishutu B'Layachrav, Shesham Alushvatim Shiteya Elus Yisrael, V'Hadois Hashem Adonai, Yisham Yoshlu Chitzos L'Mishpat Yisras Adeis David, Shalom Shalom Yerushalayim, Yishloy Habayich, Yihi Shalom Mechelech, Shalva V'Amnesayich, L'man Achai V'Reyad Amen Shalom Bach, L'man Beis Adonai Leinu Avakshat Tzolach.
שיר המעל לדוד, הנה מה טובו ומנעים שבתוכי גמך. כי שמן הטוב על הראש, יורד על הזקן זקן אהרון. שיורד על פי מידותיו, יטל חרמון, שיורד על הררי ציון, כי שם ציווה השם את הברכה חיים עד העולם.
Our next speaker, Mr. David Southwick, MP, has been a close friend of Rabbi Rabin for many years, over which time they worked on many projects for the community. David also worked closely with Rabbi Rabin David will recite the prayer for the Government of Australia, followed by Cousin John Farkas and the Hebra, who will recite the prayer for the State of Israel and the Israeli Army.
Thank you very much, Karen. And just before I recite the prayer, and John Gandel, and of course all the congregants here today, you've hit the jackpot having Rabbi Rabin as your new rabbi and Rebbetzin Sarah. They are true wonders. And I've had the opportunity to see it firsthand, not just in the work that they've done at Corford South and North East and Prior, but also in the broader community, whether it's with the Rabbinical Council, whether it's as a police chaplain, in terms of the work and advocacy that Rabbi Rabin had done there, particularly during the last few years in the difficulty with lockdowns. And I know that Rabbi Rabin and others belong to princes, whose kingdom is every everlasting kingdom. May he bless and preserve our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, the Governor General and the real, kindly and true. Well as of earth. Uvelet Zion Goel et Ben Omar. Amen.
תפילה לשלום מדינת ישראל ותפילה לחיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל. אבינו שבשמיים צור ישראל וגואלו ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. חזק את ידי מגני ארץ קודשנו, וינחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרם ניצחון תעטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה. יאחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראת שמך, ולשמור את כל דברי תורתך, ושלח לנו מהרה בן דוד משיח צדקך, לפדות מחקקי תשועתך. הופע והדר גאון עוזך על כל יושבי תבל ארצך, ויאמר כל אשר נשמה ואפו, אדוני אלוהי ישראל מלך, ומלכותו בכל משלה, אמן סלע. משברך אבותינו, אברהם יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, הוא יברך אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים לפניהם. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ידבר שונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה ובעטר ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם להילחם לכם עם אויביכם להושיע אתכם ונאמר
It gives me great pleasure now to introduce Rebbetzin Rabin. I am personally so delighted to have an active Rebbetzin in our shul and to see the involvement of women in Jewish life continue to flourish. As a mother of 3 beautiful Jewish young adults and watching the journeys that they begin to navigate through weddings, hopefully one day grandchildren, I can already see firsthand the impact that Rebbetzin Sarah is already having on the youth of our community. and I could not be happier to welcome her. We have already seen how incredibly active and proactive she has been in her previous roles, and she particularly enjoys greeting and chit-chatting with ladies on Friday nights and Shabbat mornings. In my opinion, she personifies the notion that if you want something done, ask a busy woman. She is running her own small business whilst balancing being a Rebbetzin and the mother of 3 beautiful children. Please join me in welcoming Rebbetzin Sarah.
Hello. Today I'm just sharing the Rabbi's podium, so I hope you don't mind. Okay, that was supposed to be funny. Distinguished guests, Rabbi, Rebbetzin, President Howard the CHC board, our awesome engagement team, community members, and friends. I would like to thank everyone for coming today and supporting us as we begin to join me, the Rebbetzin, on this auspicious occasion. As First Lady of the Shul, I'd like to speak about the power of Jewish women in Jewish history. As we all have role models, here are one God. She and her husband provided food and shelter for all people because of her unbounded hospitality. Every couple who stands under a chuppah emulates Sarah and Abraham by establishing a home that is open to everyone, founded by the principle of husband. By following in Sarah's footsteps, we as Jewish women are empowered to accomplish great things for ourselves, our families, and for the world. Miriam, the brave and courageous young woman, is next on my list. Miriam assisted her mother in helping to deliver baby, despite the tremendous risk to her safety. And we know how she refused to let Moshe leave her sight when he was put into the Nile. Miriam was able to turn the bitterness of slavery of Egypt into positivity and strength for all those around her. She and other women were so confident that they would be taken out of Egypt that they prepared tambourines, ready to celebrate, thereby lifting the spirit of the Jewish people. They led from the front. Her example inspires me to have courage, faith, and confidence. Here, a modern day role model is the final female leader who inspires me. Of course, Golda Meir was also Israel's first female prime minister. Golda Meir, who was the prime minister of Israel when Henry Kissinger became Secretary of State, wrote him a letter of congratulation, expressing that they would have a great relationship between the two countries. Kissinger reminded him swiftly that he was first an American, then the Secretary of State, and finally a Jew. Golda Meir responded to remind me that in Israel, we read from right to left. I admire her intelligence. However, I also admire her conviction, understanding the importance of her Jewish identity and not shrinking from it, rather standing tall and proud of it. She was a national leader for many, many years. There's no surprise that she was called the Iron Lady of Israel. Through her action, I always feel inspired that with hard work, dedication, and strength, we can achieve anything. She led Israel, led Israel through two major wars in 67 and 73, and the list just goes on. These are just a few of the great women who have inspired me. In fact, there are countless others, and all the great women who come before me have empowered me to build my role as Rebbetzin at Kofel Shul with distinction and pride. Yet, there will be many challenges ahead. The incredible women, young and young at heart, that I've already met and got to know here in Kofel Shul, make me so hopeful that together we will lead from the front. I would now like to thank my Mom and Dad. Thank you for coming all the way from San Francisco, California, to be here today. Thank you. I would also like to thank my sister and her family for always being there to support me, and also to my good friends who came here. So thank you. And I'd also like to thank my beautiful children. Whenever we are nearly out every night for weddings or events, so thanks so much for having patience. We love you, wherever you guys are. And of course, to my new husband, Rabbi, for his unwavering support in all that you do, and for being the best partner I could ever have. I would like to conclude with one final Golden Ear story. Richard Nixon complained to Golden Ear when she was visiting that he had so many people and personalities to deal with, and Golden was so lucky to have such a small country. She smiled and said yes. That might be true, but you are a president of over 200 million Americans. I'm the prime minister of over 3 million prime ministers. So here today in Kofel Shul, the rabbi and I look forward to being the rabbi and Rebbetzin of many other rabbis and Rebbetzins in this shul. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I always notice when the hairs start standing up on my arms. It means that the words are connecting at a really soul level. And I think we all felt the passion in Rebbetzin Sarah's words that she just shared with us. I would now like to welcome Rabbi Philip Elbrin, President of the Rabbinical Council of Victoria, CHC Pastoral Care Rabbi, and St Kilda Shul Rabbi Emeritus, to share some words prior to the official induction.
My rabbinic colleagues, Rabbi Krasyansky, Rabbi Rabin, Cousin Dov, Rabbi Max, and of course, all the rabbis of the community that have been able to come to this afternoon, leaders and representatives of community organizations, President Gordon, especially the members of the Corporate Hebrew Congregation, and the Honorary David Southwick MP, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party of the opposition. Dear Rabbi and Rebbetzin, I was going to say what a great honor it is to address you, but before I do that, let me say, you are warned never to speak after or perform after children or pets. Nobody warned me about Rebbetzin. It is indeed a great honor to address you on this most auspicious occasion in this great shul
as someone who holds Rabbi Rabin, Rebbetzin, Sarah, and the entire family in the highest esteem. Today is the most significant moment since Caulfield Schul's creation shortly after World War II. A fourth inauguration in about 80 years. A unique event of huge significance. This is the day that Hashem was created, to rejoice and be glad in it. The events of the Purim saga and deliverance beckon in the next few weeks. Tomorrow night is Purim Katan. In other words, that is the day that Purim would have been had this not been a leap year. The Talmud in Megillah proposes the following conversation, as Haman finds it very easy to lobby King Ahasuerus and to recruit him for his evil designs. He opens up, Yesh lo Am Echad. There is a unique nation. The king rises to the bait and he gleefully responds, Nachilna, let's go and annihilate them. Answers Haman, I don't know if we can do this. Stafina Melokeh, I fear their God, lest he do to me what he did to my Amalekite predecessors. The king responds, Yeshno min mitzvot. They have fallen asleep. They have fallen asleep at the wheel from performing the mitzvah and are thus vulnerable. Counters Haman. Itbehu Rabbanan. They have a secret weapon. It's called the rabbis. The rabbis will inspire the people to do mitzvot, to learn Torah, to seek Teshuvah. Hashem will again become close to them, and they'll be able to stand against us. Itbehu Rabbanan. They have rabbis who can arouse and inspire, just like Rabbi Daniel Rabin. From what I see now, is Rebbetzin. In Moshe Rabbeinu's words, when he sought from Hashem a successor, he requests, Kod Hashem Elokei Yisrael Ish al Haidah. The Lord God of all spirits to choose a man to go over the community. Ish, a man. Probably better translated, a mensch, a person who is in the mold and the form of the rabbis that they were talking about in the Gemara we just mentioned. Explain to us all that Rabbi Rabin is such a man. Menschlichkeit, innate intelligence, wisdom, skills, learning and personality, equipping for rabbinic success. Add to that his master's degree in counseling and psychotherapy. He is involved in several important committees around the Jewish community as well as the secular community, where these are relevant to the Jewish community and its dignity. Indeed, despite all Rabbi Daniel's expertise, abilities, and considerable talents, where any career could have been open to him, Rabbi Rabin has chosen to be a Ben Torah, and we are all convinced that the Caulfield Hebrew congregation, and indeed our entire community, will be the fortunate beneficiaries to have chosen him. Rabbi Rabin is already well known to us all as a beloved and respected leader, and the former illustrious past president of the Rabbinical Council. His training and his outlook on the world are deeply rooted in Torah through Judaism. What distinguishes him is his passion and ability to eloquently express and present Yiddishkeit in an appealing, meaningful contemporary idiom, laced with care, kindness, and compassion. His inspiring words and righteous deeds are spiced with humor and wit. His entire character, personality, and behavior exudes warmth and is saturated with Torah values. He is a truly caring and superlative spiritual leader. And I can report anecdotally, I have heard of young families who since it became known that the Ravens were heading for Caulfield, that they expressed an interest in making this their shul. We all admire Rabbi Rabin as an inspiring, innovative speaker who displayed a strong affinity for the state of Israel. We express a big mazel tov to the Rabbi, to his Eshet Chayil Sarah, his children, parents-in-law, Rabbi and Mrs. Bill, and all his family, whom we warmly welcome. The Caulfield Shul Board and members are delighted that this appointment includes an important formal, inspirational role for Rebbetzin Sarah in the congregation. Although many may think that treating Rabbi and Rebbetzin as a team is an innovation, the Rabbi and Rebbetzin team is a very ancient, tried and tested institution in Jewish practice. Indeed, I can confirm that this phenomenon is alive and well in Victorian shuls, but perhaps not so formally and publicly expressed. When it comes to Rabbi Rabin's prowess, he comes with an enormous advantage, his beloved Rebbetzin Sarah. She is an integral partner in the formal way of his ministry to Caulfield Shul. At the dawn of Jewish history, in their journey to the Promised Land, as Rebbetzin Sarah herself mentioned a few moments ago, in fulfillment of Hashem's instruction, Abraham and Sarah made sure to take along et ha-nefesh asher asu b'Charan, the souls whom they literally created in Haran. Rashi remarks how these souls, who Abraham and Sarah's mentoring and brought under the wings of the divine presence of the Shekhinah, were taught and greatly inspired by Abraham and Sarah. The Tanakh highlights several partnerships of this kind, including the roles of Queen Esther and Mordechai in the Megillah. Our commentators establish a link when they speak of Sarah as having lived in Chayei Sarah as Me'ah Shana, Esrim Shana, V'Sheva Shanim. They connect us with the Persian Empire, with 127 provinces, and indeed it was Queen Esther who would one day rule over these provinces. It is a significant congregational role that the women guiding their families and reaching out to them, to which Rebbetzin Sarah has dedicated her prodigious talents in Torah outreach and in all congregations the rabbins have led. We all extend most sincere mazel tov and Hashem's richest blessings to Caulfield Shul and its new Rabbi and Rebbetzin. May their relationship flourish and be crowned with many successes, lahagdil Torah ulahadira, to make the Torah great and powerful. We pray that the entire congregation will actively support the passion and enthusiasm and the energy of this beautiful family as they embark on their journey into a blessed future together with Caulfield Shul. In conclusion, I'd like to share with you one of my favorite stories. In the old shtetl, rabbis were not really remunerated properly, but received support through gifts from the community. The rabbi would then use the bima to thank the benefactors for their generosity. In a particular community, a balabos brought his rabbi the finest, most cherished bottle of cherry wine, complete with some magnificent pickled cherries in it. That Shabbos on the bima, the rabbi thanked the donor of the chicken soup, the donor of the roast chicken. He thanked the donor of the new trousers for his son. He thanked somebody else for the potatoes, and so on. The cherry wine donor was mortified about his precious gift. Then eventually the rabbi said, and finally, for the gift of the cherries, the donor was exasperated. For the donor of the cherries, continued the rabbi, thank you, but not only for the cherries, but especially for the spirit in which it was given. May the beautiful spirit which has been manifest here today and is now pervading Caulfield Shul and their new rabbinical couple endure and grow to be the basis of a very long, successful, and mutually beneficial relationship.
Daniel ben Chaim Shabziben לרגל הפקרתו לכיסא הרבנות וקהילת קודש אהבת שלום חזק
I'm humbled by this incredible experience that we're all going through now. I'm almost at a loss for words, but rabbis never at a loss for words, so unlike you. I am actually really grateful to all of you who turned out here today. Because I know with that word, the C word, a lot of people are worried to come through COVID times. And we are very lucky that it's not fully seasoned, so probably another 50% that have come today. But I do want to begin by speaking on those who I'd like to thank first. You know, sometimes speeches are left, the thanks are left to the end. But today I'd like to reverse that, given the nature of Hakarat HaTov, of really recognizing those who have been kind and gracious to you. And so I'd like to begin by thanking all those who have been kind and gracious to me and to my dear wife, Sarah. I don't have a list of papers, so I'm setting myself up for trouble. I'm going to forget somebody, and then somebody's going to have a broken for the next 50 years. So I'm apologizing in advance if I've forgotten anybody. It's not because I don't love you, it's because I forgot. But I want to begin firstly by thanking Hashem. And I'm just looking at the time. My speech was supposed to be finished at 5 o'clock. So we're already 3 minutes over. But there you are anyway. The food's waiting. I believe it's all cold food, so don't worry, it's not going to get cold anyway. I want to thank Hashem for really allowing us to arrive at this moment. And Chazon Dov, the Hara Max, and the Chevra saying so beautifully, thank you, Hashem, for allowing my family to reach this milestone, to reach this community, this beautiful, warm community who has embraced us in a very short few months that we've been here. And we just thank you for all the kindness that you've given us. I'd like to continue to thank the Caulfield Shul Board, this board, previous boards, the life governors. I'd like to thank our engagement team led by the very capable Rebbetzin, who I had the privilege of working with in the Rabbinical Council Victoria previously, to our staff, Danny, and to Tony, and to Eva, and to Krista, to my dear colleagues who sit beside me. It was interesting, a few weeks ago when Orf Hadash was on semester break and we were privileged to have them in the main school. I had Rabbi Krasniansky next to me and Rabbi Helbrin next to him. And I turned to them and I said, they call me the senior rabbi? I said, that's very humbling, sitting next to two greats like yourself. And thank you both for your extremely kind words, Rabbi Krasniansky. You're a Zugmachai, you're a role model in Torah, in just the way that you have conducted. I think you're and I don't want to get in trouble for stating the wrong facts, but I believe you're the longest serving rabbi in one kehillah in Australia, if not Victoria, of course, as well. So I would like to, of course, return my deep appreciation to Rabbi Helbrin. This is the second time he's done this for me. I pray not for a long time again, Rabbi Helbrin. And I was thinking we were just going to pull out the same speech as last time. It's only been a few years, so you could have got away with it. But I'm grateful that you took time to rethink it and you shared a new idea, a new inspirational talk. And you are a rabbi's rabbi, somebody who's literally, I don't know if anyone's ever said a bad word about you. Everyone who knows you knows that you're synonymous with warmth, with incredible singing ability, of course. But really, Rabbi Helbrin, I remember I was talking to him just the other day about weddings, and we were discussing a big part of the rabbi's role is officiating weddings. And I turned to Rabbi Helbrin and I said, how many weddings have you officiated? He didn't have an exact number. He said, over 3,000 weddings. And I was mesmerized. And he said sometimes he even did 8 on a particular Sunday, 8 at a time. He said they had rabbis, or he had brides and grooms hiding in different rooms. It was like a little conveyor belt. So, Rabbi Helbrin, thank you for your kind words. Although they do say you shouldn't recite or say a full person's praise in front of them. So people, he's only said half my praise, so you've really got a lot more to look forward to. No, but honestly, I didn't know who you were talking about, maybe one of my colleagues sitting in the front. And I do want to wish you and your Rebbetzin continued health, not just from your children, your grandchildren, and please God, I look forward to sitting next to you for many, many, many more years to come. I want to just acknowledge our MC today, Karen, and for her really warm and kind and beautiful words. I'll just tell you the other side of the story. After hearing your series and your lecture on grief and educating the rabbis, I said to our colleagues, and some of them are sitting here today, and I do want to acknowledge my dear colleague, Rabbi Ganendi, of course, my predecessor, who sends his apologies for not being here today. He has a particular function that he couldn't get out of. But him and others who had that training, we all turned around and said, we are so much richer for learning from you, from the way that you taught us how to deal with people who are going through tremendous pain, who are going through the most difficult parts of their life, and how we are to react, to respond. And I think you said it, and maybe I'm misquoting you, but something to the effect of, you just got to be real to the person and treat them as another human being, and that will never go wrong in it. And you personify that, and I want to thank you for agreeing to be our MC today. I have to acknowledge, and I'm sure you all would agree with me, I have to acknowledge all those that have come before me in terms of my predecessors. I mentioned the previous rabbis, the greats of this community. You just look around, the names that are on the walls, the people who have given sweat and blood and toil for this community. I want to thank all of them for what they've done to allow us to arrive at this moment, almost like standing on the shoulders of giants. And in my personal life, I want to thank my previous congregations, those who have joined us here today from the Northeastern Jewish Center in Doncaster, to my dear friends at South Caulfield Shul. They've all taught me so much about life, about being a rabbi, and the friendship that I've developed there will be everlasting, no matter which rabbi or Rebbetzin, you know, no matter what shul you're serving, when you make lifelong friends, when you make people and you meet people at their highest highs and of course at the lowest lows, you develop bonds which are never broken. So thank you all of you for attending today that have come to be with me and Sarah. Thank you. I want to also reciprocate to David, who is synonymous with Jewish community and community at large. I want to really thank him because a lot of the other members of parliament sent in apologies. I know David had a lot on today, genuinely, but he said to me, I'm not going to miss this. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, David. And for those of you, all of you who have worked with David know this, I'm not saying anything new, but I got to see this firsthand when we were going through the COVID crisis, the meeting with government, and really trying to help the Jewish community and the community at large. David is a champion for community, and I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for coming to that, David. And of course, to my dear in-laws who have come again, they said, please stop, wrapping up the doors, making us fly overseas for all these inaugurations. So, Bezrat Hashem, it won't be for a while, but you can come and visit us for other reasons. And to my dear brother and sister-in-law and their family who have also joined us here today, and of course, are great support for us through every day's challenges. Now, I mentioned it for those of you at shul the other week. My father-in-law, he always comes around the time of the Parsha of Yitro, where Moses learns what it means to have a father-in-law who has lots of suggestions. And I've been in the great era of lots of suggestions over the years. And so my father-in-law's left me a whole page of suggestions. I wish you well on your flight back on Thursday. I've left us a package of suggestions for you. But anyway, honestly, we love you and we really thank you for your love and support. And it's interesting because, funnily enough, I have a friend who doesn't speak English very well. And he called me, he couldn't be here, he actually lives in Sydney. And he called me today and he said, I want to wish you Mazel Tov on being induced today. And I said, I'm not being induced. I'm a husband, you didn't induce me, thank God. You conducted us. But then somebody else who does speak in good English said to me at shul yesterday, that's not on your coronation today. So that I'll take. But I'm definitely not becoming a king, but I do have a queen. And I'd like to conclude my thanks by acknowledging my dear wife, Sarah, who is a life partner, who is full of energy, and of course, you've all got to meet her. She doesn't miss a beat to make sure I dress well, I think. She makes sure that our families run well. She does everything for us, for the community, and I just want to really thank her for always being a life partner. I know it's not easy being in our role. Every night we've got things on, and I genuinely and sincerely appreciate all the time you put into us and into the community. The angels of my life, my children, wherever they may be right now, it's hard to see where anyone is. I always joke at a wedding that I always tell the bride and the groom to look around, take time to experience what you're going through, to really appreciate the moment, take time to see people show up. So I'm going to do that right now. Stay in the crowd. But my children are, of course, as everybody's children, and those that best have children, they are gems. And in particular, I know that my colleagues will relate to this. The children of Rabbi Rebbetzin, they choose their path. We choose it for them. And so they have to be good sports. They have to be prepared to have people around the table on Friday nights. They have to have people prepared for their parents to be out on many, many occasions at night, to have strangers walking through the door, to have their parents out at meetings all night, all days of the week. And so I love you guys. Thank you. And don't become a rabbi very soon. You know it's like become a doctor or something and support us in the world. And of course, finally, I forgot, how can I forget this beautiful and warm, our friends from Corford Shul and beyond. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know there's lots to do at 4 p.m. There is good food waiting, and I know that I've already spent about 8 to 10 minutes just thanking everyone. So yes, Shukriya. And then to those in front of me, I have to acknowledge you, but I want to acknowledge you again, West Africa. Thank you for your friendship, to you and Rabbi Dalia, who participated in making this service run beautifully together with Aaron and the Febra. You guys are awesome. Your families are just part of this Kehillah. You've done so much together to this point, and I'm confident that it's not the end of the road. All of us are journeying through this together, and we have a bright future. All the volunteers who have made it to this point and beyond, thank you, and we look forward to the illustrious and a beautiful future together. So, the fact that I don't have notes means that I could possibly cut my speech. And so I'd like to just begin by telling you about a particular rabbi. I'm not going to name this rabbi, it's a no-name rabbi. And this rabbi was invited to be a guest speaker, one guest speaker at a symposium of many guest speakers. And there was a big crowd in attendance, and the rabbi got up to speak. It was his turn. And he began speaking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And already the crowd got a little bit antsy, and so, as crowds do, they started to leave the group. After an hour, another big percentage of the crowd left. An hour and 15, an hour and 20, more and more people left. By about 2 hours in, there was one man sitting in the crowd. And the rabbi, instead of being upset that everybody had left, he actually was elated. He was so happy that he had finally found his one prize student. The one person who was prepared to listen to his greatness, his wisdom, his brilliance. Aristotle and Plato were incredible student and teacher. Moses and Joshua, another example. This was his turn to shine. And so he tested the waters. And he began to elucidate another part of his brilliance. 2.5 hours later, and the man was still sitting in the crowd. And again, the rabbi was so excited that he had finally found the one to take over his greatest one. 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours later, this man is still sitting in the crowd. So the rabbi is excited now to finish because he cannot contain his excitement to meet his prize student. And he comes over to his student, gives him a hug, and he says, "Tell me, my dear student, what did you think of my speech?" The man says, "To be honest, I wasn't listening." The rabbi is shocked. He said, "You weren't listening, so why were you sitting in the crowd for 4 hours?" The man responds, "I'm the next speaker on the list." So the good news for everybody, there's no next speaker on the list. The other good news is I am very, very short of time. I'm supposed to be finished very soon. But I'd like to, because you've all come all this way to hear me talk and to hear all of us present today, I'd like to just tell you a story. In preparation for this momentous occasion in our life and peace God in the life of our children, I have a few good friends who are very stylish that are in the crowd today. And I said, I need you to help me choose a suit and tie and really get me ready for this occasion. So we went shopping around town. I don't like this stuff. I hate it. Usually Sarah helps me with it. But she said, get a man's touch. Get somebody who's, we have one friend in particular who's very, very classy. And we shopped around town and we found everything. He chose me a tie. And I didn't really like the tie. Not because he didn't have good taste. But anyway, it wasn't right. And we went into a number of different stores. And they said, look, stop being such a baby. Just use the tie that I chose. Anyway, I came home that night, and I was standing in my room, and I was looking at my tie cover. I don't have that many ties. But then a tie caught my eye. It's the tie that I'm wearing today, and it's the tie that my father gave me into one of his ties. Now, for those of you who know that my dear father passed away at the end of 2020, my mother passed away when I was a young child. And so, as I saw that tie, I thought, I don't care about the fashion. I don't care about the style. I did say it actually matches. I felt that this was a tie that I wanted to wear today. A, because of the personal relevance to me, that in a way that I know that if he was here, if my mother was here, they would have been very proud to see in the crowd. They are here, I have no doubt, spiritually. But it represented to me something which I hope I can bring to this community. You know, everybody I've met who's been in corporate for a while tells me something about their family connection. Our family's been here for X amount of years. If you look at that window, that's my Zeta, that's my daughter. And I thought that's so beautiful that people really feel so connected to community, to a shul, to a place that was built by their ancestors. And so wearing this tie today really, in my mind, represents our connection to those who have come before us. For me, it's my dad. For all of you, it's those who, in the rows that you sit, and perhaps the seat that you sit, represent the family member, the Buba or Zayda that came before you. And for those who are fortunate, they may still have their Buba and Zayda sitting next to them. But we have to now wear it in the modern world today. We have to bring that connection, that heritage, that tradition, that strength that came before us, and utilize it to encourage the next generation. And so today, this tie is, of course, my personal connection to my dad, who I love dearly. He was a great role model. He was very quiet, successful in his own right. He loved helping people. He was a doctor. He wanted me to become a doctor. Sorry, Dad. But he was very, very proud when I stood at my smicha ceremony at my graduation. He hugged me, and then when I got my master's in counseling, he gave me a big hug and said, at least you got some secular degree as well. But he stands with me today. And sometimes we look everywhere else to try and find a connection. We search far and wide, and yet it's right under our noses, literally. And I think that's true. That's community. That's the great gift that all of us have been given, to have a community, congregation, and people who have come before us. They're here. The energy is here. The strength is here. The beauty is here. But we do have to contemporize it. We do have to bring it to the modern world. We do have to make it engaging. And in the few minutes that I have left, I'd like to just suggest 2 ideas. And I hope I make my parents proud going forward. And the first is, if you look at Pirkei Avot, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to rethink how we're going to, what is our mission statement. Of course, we have a constitution. But the Torah tells us, if you look at Pirkei Avot, it says the world stands on 3 things: on Torah, on Avodah, and Gemilut Chasadim. The world exists and stands on 3 fundamental things: on our Torah, Avodah, meaning our prayer, and Gemilut Chasadim is our social responsibility. And so my vision, our vision, is that we're going to just bring that to this community. It's already been had in previous administrations, previous Rabbanim, but we want to revolutionize it in a way. Make it modern, make it reachable to those who may not necessarily connect to the way it's always been done. So Torah is something which has been part of our creation as a Jewish people. It's the connection to the infinite. You know, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, when the Jewish people had the destruction in front of them, he was offered, what do you want? He could have said anything. And you can imagine the pain and the suffering and the turmoil that was going on in the community. It looked like Judaism was finished. And what did he say? He said, I want Torah. I want the other end stages. I want to make sure that Torah study continues. Because he knew if we hold on to Torah values, if we hold on to our great gift that God has given us, we will never expire. We will never cease to exist. Nothing can destroy it. And so my pledge to this community is that we're going to stand on Torah. We're going to stand on Torah, and of course, in a way, even Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said he had 5 students. 2 of them I'd like to mention in terms of their outlet. One was very committed to the tradition, to the way it's always been. That's important. But he had another student who was a great thinker, who used to move mountains, if you like. He used to be like a water that burst forth. He was somebody who saw that it's not enough just to say Torah. He made it contemporary. He brought it to the average person and said, learn it, study it in the way that's going to talk to you, because if you connect to it, it will always be with you. And we are blessed to live in an age where Torah study, Dov was telling the other day about a TikTok, there's a lady on TikTok who's doing Daf Yomi on TikTok. 1 minute a day. Can you imagine the rabbis of old knew that there was a woman doing TikTok Daf Yomi? How blessed are we? But we have to make sure that Torah is at the forefront of our minds. And then we've got avodah, and I'm rushing through this. We are very blessed. Avodah means prayer. I'll just tell you very quickly, I went to Israel my first year in Yeshiva. Now, I remember being very excited being in South Africa. I had not left until my first year in Yeshiva. Now, being a South African, for those who come from that place of the world, was very daunting leaving. And of course, we had the luxury of housekeepers looking after us, making sure everything was washed and nicely placed in the cupboards. And so being in Yeshiva for the first time ever, I remember sitting in front of the washing machine in Raya, and the Israelis were laughing at us because we sat watching it for 45 minutes, me and my South African friend. And they said, you don't have to stay there. We'll operate without you watching. But we didn't trust them. We thought maybe if we walked away, it would stop. And after a few weeks, we believed that the machine does run on its own. But my most precious experience in Israel, in my first year in Yeshiva, someone said to me, you have to go to this particular shul on a Friday night. After everything is concluded, there's an elderly man there. This elderly man stands, after they finish Kabbalat Shabbat and Mari, there's this elderly man, who was very well known to the Yeshiva students of the community. He would go into the shul, he'd be very quiet, he'd sit there, he would watch him pray. Let's say the service began at 7 and finished at 7:45. He would be there till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Every word, he would sing with the nigun. It would take an hour. We'd go through it slowly, we watched. It was the first time in my life that I saw prayer. I saw talking to God. We've all been given this privilege. We don't always value it. We are blessed in corporate to have a world-class cousin with Rabbi and Chevra, Gedalia, Rabbi Helbrin. And so we have to make prayer important again. You know, some people come to shul. There's a famous story of the guy who comes to shul, comes and sits down, and one of the guys who knows him comes and says, you know, worry. I said, sure, I didn't know that you talk to God. I didn't know that you're religious. I don't come to talk to God. You know, Mordechai next to me, he talks to God. I come to talk to Mordechai. So whether you come to talk to Mordechai, or whether you come to just see your friends, or to have a l'chaim, we have to make this our heartbeat. And so we are working day in, day out to make sure that avodah, that prayer, is going to be at the cornerstone of our community, alongside Torah. And then, of course, we have the Milut Chasadim. You know, when we list the non-kosher bird species, the Torah lists, it doesn't say there's particular signs like an animal or a fish. It actually names the species. And many of the commentators say each of these species had a really bad characteristic, and that's why they were not kosher. And so as you scan the list, you find one bird which stands out like a sore thumb. It's called the Chasidah. Chasidah means the righteous one, the kind one. And so you ask yourself, hold on a minute, I thought this is supposed to be a non-kosher species. Why name it the Chasidah? And herein lies a very profound answer and message that is the third pillar that we have to stand on. The Chasidah, I think, was some type of bird. And that Chasidah was very kind, but only to those that are recognized within this particular flock. If you came from a different bird species, or even within the same bird species, they're not part of its inner circle, it didn't care about you. It attacked you. And so the Torah said, kindness is not enough just to worry about me and the person next to me, and my neighbor and my family. Kindness is about reaching out to those that may look different to you, to those that may believe different to you, to those that you may not even know I've never ever met before. We at Corporate Shul, I believe, have to continue in that trajectory. We have to realize that we have a social responsibility to the world, to the communities around us. Yes, we have to focus inwardly as well. If somebody's sick, if somebody needs a visit, if somebody's had a baby, if somebody is just fallen on tough times, we have to respond. We have to have chesed. But if it stops there, if it's just about us and our inner circle, then we're not kosher. The Torah tells us that. If it's only about you and your inner circle, then it's not enough. And so if we have those three pillars, Torah, Avodah, and Gemilut Chasadim, then I believe we will exist. And we will be fruitful. We'll be successful. But we're missing one pillar. And that's the pillar of Israel. And so we have to make sure that all we do is infused with our connection to our Holy Land, to Israel, the very ground of Israel is built. And so I come up with a project. Australians, the first thing I noticed when I came here, we love acronyms. Everything is shortened. We don't like to waste time. Rather make things short. Why should I waste all my day saying television, let's say TV or aircon? Imagine how much time you would use if you said air conditioning. You waste so much time in the day. And so I will follow in my, now that I'm an Australian citizen for a few years, I'm going to follow my great Australian footsteps and create an acronym. We are going to be doing Project ITAG, Israel, Torah, Avodah, and Religious Chassidut. And we're going to be driven by this Project ITAG. Everything we do, everything we feel, everything we want to experience, and everything we want to achieve needs to be based on these principles. And in particular, I know that many of the community I've spoken to already have told me, you've got to worry about our kids. Don't worry about us. We're too far gone. You've got no chance. You can sermonize from today to tomorrow. You cannot change me. So much problem. You can change my kids. I don't agree with them. I think I do have a chance to change them too. And you're never too old to need to learn, to need to grow, to need to experience, to need to have a social environment. But ITAG is also going to have our next project, which is called Next Door. Door means generation. And so today I also launched, with the blessing of our president, Dr. Howard Zimmer, and the board, we're going to do Project ITAG and Next Door. We're going to be focused on initiatives that are going to focus on our young, whether it be singles, young marrieds, young adults, Rebbetzin already started and relaunched corporate vibes. And so we want to focus on the next generation. So this pie that you see, yes, it represents the past, it represents my love and connection to my dad, but it also represents me wearing it to take it into the future. So today, my blessing to this community is that we remember these great pillars, these great foundations. We remember that it's not just about us, but it's the next generation. However, there's one catch. It's not just about us and the board. We need you. If you have a connection with someone, bring them in. Try, come one more time. If you only come once a year, or twice or 3 times a year, come another time. If you only come, if you've attended one class or 2 classes, you never attended a shiur, try it out. We need everybody's participation because I can preach from today to tomorrow. The Rebbetzin can be a great cheerleader as you did earlier. But if we don't have your participation, your involvement, then what good are we? And so I'll conclude with a story of Rabbi Halpern did, and again, I apologize for the lateness of their help. There was a rabbi who was hired to work in a community. The community was very concerned because the rabbi was young. And before they hired the rabbi, they had voiced this within the board and within the community. And they let the rabbi know, they said, look, we're really impressed by you, but you're young. We don't know if you're going to be able to achieve what we need you to achieve. And the rabbi wrote and penned a response. And he said, I acknowledge your concern. I acknowledge what you're going through. But I want to make a commitment to you today, one which I will guarantee you will happen. I have full faith and I'm prepared to invest any amount of money that you want because I know this will come true. And he said, every single day of my life, I will be combating the problem of my age. And so today we might be young, but I can assure you that the one commitment I can give to you, that every day that we live on this earth, that we are Rabbi Rebbetzin of Mr. Hillel, we will work for you. It's our service to you. We are privileged to be here. It's an honor to be here. It's not about us. It's about you. And I pray that one day when you reflect back on our career, you say, this was the Rabbi Rebbetzin who gave to you. So thank you. Mazel tov. And please go many speakers tonight.
We will now conclude the ceremony with the anthems led by Carrie Brown and Rabbi Aaron Max, accompanied by the Corporal Shul Deborah Choir. Following that, we will invite everyone to the hall and the outdoor sukkah area for a Lahayim. I invite you all to be outstanding for the anthems.
Well,
Simran Tov, Mazel Tov, Simran Tov. 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 Israel,